The good news is the Suns outscored their point total from Sunday. The bad news is they're kept under 100. In fact, they're kept to 81. Is it just a problem of missing Devin Booker and Dillon Brooks, or is there something deeper? We're diving in, whether you like it or not, on PHNX Suns coming up right after this. Psychos and sickos unite for the Celtics just grabbed another rebound edition of the PHNX Suns post-game show, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $200 in bonus bets. The Suns put up an 81-point stinker right after putting up a 77-point stinker, this time losing to the Boston Celtics without Jaylen Brown, 97-81. Jalen Green was bad. Mark Williams was bad. This whole team was bad, and that
they were bad for like 30 points.
The second half was bad.
I mean, as soon as they got the 11-point lead, it was like a roller coaster. Like, yeah.
The Suns were up in this game. I'm Eric. That's go. We got the Freckle Mama behind the Mac. The Suns were up in this game 41-30. 41-30. And they lost 97-81.
By that count, that's what?
A lot too little.
66 to 40, 41? 66, 40?
No, 67.
67.
Boston was at 30.
67 to 40.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Boston went on a 97-81 run during the game.
They did do that as well.
Yeah. I want to start off with the super chat here from Don Davies before we dive into Jalen Green, Mark Williams, and so forth. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Thank you for being here even when the times get dark. Don Davies, thank you for being here. With a 199 super chat, says 91 points per game over their last 4 games. ... We are in 2026. I'll add to that. The Suns have not scored 100 points in regulation post All-Star break. The only time that they've cracked over 100 points was when it went to double overtime and they scored 113 points in double overtime. Gil, this team can't hit a damn shot.
They really can't. It's bad. And there's so much that can be said to explain it, right? So let me start, because I feel like you and I get like reputation of being like apologists or like being excuse makers.
I think more me than you, but yeah.
Fair. It's bad. The shooting is bad. The scoring is bad. The offense isn't there. The firepower isn't there. And I think about what's been going on over these games. The Spurs game, Devin Booker has the injury, Dillon Brooks is suspended, and you're playing against Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs defense. You go into Saturday's game, and again, you're playing against a physical Magic defense. You're not really making very many shots. Game of runs, ups and downs. No Devin Booker. Dillon Brooks gets injured early. Jalen Green can't hit anything.
Yeah.
And Jordan Goodwin was like your best scorer that game. He and Colin Gillespie were both big for you. And then Grayson Allen finds it in overtime. Then you don't have any of those guys except for Jalen Green, who still can't hit anything on Sunday. And then, again, today, Jalen Green. And it's crazy because he had such a good game against the Spurs on Thursday last week. And
first game back.
He had 26 points in 26 minutes. We were really high on it and hype about it or whatever. And now it just is falling off a cliff lately.
Yeah.
And that's the big thing we talk about, where, and it's something that we said our concern level was, without Devin Booker on the court, is Jalen Green going to feel too much pressure to be that guy and force it and press it a little bit? And we've had some complaints and critiques of the shot selection right now. They're not quality shots, and they're not going in. And I think that's where it starts. The guy who you need to step in and be that guy and carry that offensive load has not been able to do that. And everything else we've seen beyond that has just kind of fallen in line.
So since that Spurs game, the last 3 games, I just did the math here. Jalen Green is 17 of 60 from the field. That's good for 28.3% from the field. He is 4 of 26 from deep.
Mm.
And by the way, just to add insult to injury, he's 4 of 8 from the line.
There's like one trip he missed both of them.
So, Gil, what's going on with Jalen Green?
I wish I really knew what was going on with Jalen Green. We've talked a lot about it. I think that the biggest thing is that he is being put back in the position that he was not being expected to not expected to be put back into. And I say that to say, listen, we thought he was coming back in and was going to have Devin Booker on one side and Dillon Brooks on the other side and Grayson Allen here and all these guys. And we talked so much about why it was going to be such a breath of fresh air for him offensively, because there's going to be more spacing than he's played with in his NBA career. And there's going to be guys all around him that are capable of spraying and hitting shots and all of these things. And then you look at tonight, right, guys not named Jalen Green, which he was 1 of 8 from 3, but 11 of 28 from 3. So it's not like the Suns are really torching the nets right now from beyond the arc, and that wasn't the case last game and the game before that either. And it was early on, too. I think that 11 of 28 outside of Jalen Green is a little misleading, too, because they were 4 of 9 in the first quarter, and he made 1 3 in the first quarter. He's 1 of 3 in the first quarter. So the team was 3 of 6 in the first quarter, and then after that, they didn't shoot the ball very well. And we talk so much about this team and if they shoot too many threes or what have you. I mean, the Celtics took 11 more threes than the Suns tonight and only made 1 more, but they out-rebounded them and they out-efforted them.
Oh, you look at the field goals, 95 field goals to 79 in favor of the Celtics.
Happened 2 times in a row.
And the Celtics shot better from the field. I mean, they didn't shoot great. The Celtics only scored 97 points tonight without Jaylen Brown and obviously Jayson Tatum as well. They were 38 of 95. The Suns were 29 of 79. So they made less shots, they took less shots, and they shot a worse percentage from the field.
But specific Jalen Green, I'll just say, because the spacing and those things aren't happening, we're seeing a guy who's pressing a little bit. We're seeing a guy who's struggling to finish around the rim. He's got a couple shots blocked around the rim, and he just is not being able to find any type of offensive groove. And I don't know what the fix is for that. They're going to have to scheme some things in there on the fly, because all they talked about was like building this offense around this team at full strength with Jalen Green in it. Then they adjusted what it was like without Jalen Green. Now he's adjusting what it's like without those guys who are supposed to be helping him as well, and he has not figured it out yet.
There are a lot of reasons why I've been disappointed in this 3-game stretch from Jalen Green, obviously minus that double overtime period where he hit the clutch layup and the buzzer beater and what we hoped was a launching point for him, but instead there was failure to launch from that launching point. I think what's been really frustrating me is the shot selection. And I know that there's Rockets fans that are probably in here, or that if they hear this, or they could probably feel like a sixth sense or a spider sense when I say that, who are taking off their shirt and doing victory laps. Nobody ever said that Jalen Green had a good shot selection, right? Nobody ever said that he had the most intelligent shot selection. I think what's frustrating me is because it almost feels like it's gotten worse over these last couple of games. And I understand, no Devin Booker, no Dillon Brooks. Jalen probably feels this type of pressure that he maybe is putting extra on himself because they had to carry for him because he was gone all season of, I have to be the guy, right? It's the lack of drives to the rim. I think we saw it a couple times today, the leverage that we can use on his drives, whether it was the assist to Ryan Dunn's first 3 in the corner, a couple of finishes in the paint. He doesn't look like himself fully athletically, which might be part of the reason why he's settling for bad shots. But that's certainly part of it. I need to see him get to the rim more, and I need to see him use that first instead of, okay, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to shoot a bunch of jump shots, I'm going to get cold, and then I'm going to drive to the rim. I'd like to see that kind of reverse and see him start the game with some drives. The other thing, Gil, that's bothering me with Jalen Green is I feel like he's gone from being a willing and active and plus passer in his short minutes to the last couple of games, not even just numbers-wise, 1 assist tonight, but I don't really see him finding a guy on the roll like a Mark Williams or an Oso, which is something I've touted quite a bit. Yeah, he had the pass to Ryan Dunn in the corner for his 1 assist, but it didn't feel like he's moving the ball as well as he did when he first came back.
Absolutely. I think that's the thing we've talked about so much, and that popped off the screen when he was getting downhill, and it was, a wraparound pass to Oso or drop off to Mark and things like that. And that is, you kind of get into like the nitty gritty of that. We talk about the angles and the coverages and things of that nature. And again, what's around you, who's spacing around you. And also, if it's a night in which Grayson is 1 of 9 from deep and Rasheer misses all 3 of his 3-point attempts, and all of these things are happening, opposing defenses are kind of in the wait and see mode with that now at that point. It's like, look, we are going to focus on that more, or focus on you not being able to do that, and now you can't get to those spots. And if those guys beat us, we're going to have to see them beat us from those spots, and that hasn't happened yet. So I think that it's going to be a thing where it kind of is a push and pull as far as, well, if other guys are hitting their shots, then life gets a little bit easier for Jalen Green getting downhill, and then from there he can create for others a little bit better as well, rather than that opening things up for other people. But unfortunately, that's just the reality of it right now. And as long as he's in this slump, I think defenses are still going to focus on him the way they are. And the rest of the guys around him aren't really torching it either.
Well, but that's the thing, is when you're missing Devin Booker, right? We talk about Devin Booker makes so many people better. Really, the only guy who didn't benefit a ton from Devin Booker, which he still did, was Dillon Brooks, who would go out there and get his shots. But then you would see when Dillon Brooks was first on the shot chart, what teams like OKC and whatnot would do to him, throw different types of coverages and whatnot, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you have Jalen now, the idea of Jalen on this team was always next to at least Devin Booker, and then as you get throughout the season alongside Dillon Brooks, where they can all kind of take turns being the guy on offense. I think it's very clear that in this current state for Jalen, he's incapable of consistently being the guy. I don't want to say that Jalen Green is not fully healthy, but I will say he doesn't look fully healthy, which could come down to trust. I mean, Gil, you've dealt with some injuries over your career. How hard is it when you're out there and you feel like you can't fully trust your body?
It's the hardest thing. That's it, right? Like, that's as far as, like, especially because you're afraid that it's going to happen again. And we talk about the path that it took for him to get back on the court the first time, and then the longer path that it took for him to get back on the court the second time. And that, like, he's saying, thank God I'm finally trusting my body. I'm finally turning these corners. But there's so many different mental hurdles and check marks that he has to kind of get past. And there's getting back in game shape too. Like, he hasn't really played that many games since coming back from injury and all of that as well. And I think that the biggest thing is important to think about and consider, given where he is right now, and you mentioned where he is on the totem pole and where other guys are, in a perfect world, he would have come back in a minimized role and honestly been the third option, maybe 3.5 or 2, or, you know what I mean? Like, thinking about Book being the guy, Dillon Brooks, I'm sure, would gladly still be the guy to let Jalen ease back in. But now it was him thrust into all of this. And yes, I know what his contract is. I'm well aware of that. I'm well aware of who he has been promised to be and who he has said to be and what he's done before in this league. But I also think that the circumstance of it, it's okay to say that he was not ready for that much of a workload this soon, given the circumstances. I think it would have been much better had he been able to play next to these other guys for 7, 10, 12 games, and then kind of take the reins more and more. But this is just a mess of a circumstance that he's found himself in.
And I think when you look at this Jalen Green, and I get it, Suns fans, it's a little bit of a tough pill to swallow because you haven't seen a ton of him. In fact, you've actually seen under 200 minutes of him so far this season. And so I don't know actually if these stats adjusted going into tonight or not yet. So maybe you've seen just over 200 minutes with him, but maybe, I don't know if they've adjusted or not, but coming into tonight, I would assume 10 games played, 5 games started, 19.2 points per game. Right. So he played just around 30 minutes per game, 30 minutes in the game tonight. You're somewhere around 200 minutes you've seen of Jalen Green. Now, this is a small sample size, but his average is 13.3 points per game. That's going to be the worst of his career if this continues, even worse than his rookie season where he averaged 17.3 points per game. Right? 2.8 rebounds per game. That would be the worst mark of his career. 2.4 assists per game would be the worst mark of his career. What is hard, I think, as a Phoenix Suns fan, and speaking as a Phoenix Suns fan, is with Jalen Green, the argument on the Rockets was he just is who he is, right? He's just that player. They don't think that he can step up and be better. The Suns haven't gotten that yet. And it might not all be Jalen's fault, trusting his body, obviously the hamstring injury, playing without Devin Booker and Dillon Brooks. But the fact of the matter is you haven't gotten that. And that, Gil, is hard as a fan when now the Suns are in this precarious position. They built up all this goodwill without Jalen Green. Now a lot of your stars, both your stars are out for different periods of time. And now it's Jalen Green's turn to step up. And we can't see him be that guy that he was in Houston. Whether it's fair or not to him, that is, I think, why Suns fans are starting to get a little bit bitter.
And I think the frustrating thing, but also the sobering part of it, is maybe I'll push back and say this is what we saw from him in Houston. I think the big knock, thinking back to it, and I know we saw some highs, right?
I think you saw a lot more.
You saw the highs
yeah.
and throughout the course of the regular season, but I think the reason that the Rockets were so willing to part ways with him was the lows were at their lowest and the worst possible time, which was last postseason, which honestly, for the most part, par for the course for a player of his caliber, a player of his stature, a player of his profile in their first postseason series against a team like Golden State. And I think the idea, and I'm coming back to the same point again, I think you know where I'm going with it, but the idea was, okay, we will put him in a better circumstance than he was in that series. And I can ask you, how different is this Suns team offensively and what they have spacing-wise and firepower-wise with what we're seeing around Jalen Green than what he was doing in the first round of playoffs?
But at least he had a guy like Dillon Brooks out there who could create a little bit more. That's better. I think what's tough is Jalen not in the starting. Sorry, not Jalen. Grayson not in the starting lineup.
Right.
And you want to know what Houston had was an elite defense. And yeah, the last two games, the Suns' opponents haven't scored a ton of points, but they've certainly not defended, of course, anywhere near that level or their level that they showed at the beginning of the season or for the first 3 or 4 months of the season where they were top 5 defense, top 10 defense in the league, right? And so when your defense isn't holding and your team is getting out physical and you as Jalen Green are coming off of your first ever major injury, a soft tissue injury, it doesn't look like you're 100%. And when you don't have, let's say, the same guys around that you would look at, like Houston had all of their top end players out there, right? And so that's different for Jalen from a mentality standpoint. I get what you're saying, though, where it was a lot of Jalen go out there and save us, but he was at a different place in his career from a health standpoint, right? He had a whole season of being that guy. So it's a little different from what we saw last year, but I do see what you mean as far as like there are similarities.
And I think I think that's the thing though, right? Where it's like, yeah, we saw him in the situation, we saw a opposing defense keying on him, and I think the point that you're kind of making too is like he is in a worse circumstance personally than he was there when he struggled. So I think that like worse circumstance personally, worse circumstance around him, I don't understand why the expectation would be for the results to be better.
I think it's just because you've almost been starved of it, right? Like you haven't eaten a meal in quite some time, and somebody says you're gonna have a great meal, right? Not the best meal you've ever had, you're gonna have a great meal. And then you eat it and you're like, not exactly the meal that I was expecting.
No, for sure.
Right? And you need Jalen Green to be better than what he is right now. Like there's not a lot of room for error, especially in the Western Conference. This team has expectations now. It's a lot of a burden that this team is sharing, and I don't want it to seem like we're just soloing Jalen Green as far as where the discourse is going, because we are going to talk about Mark Williams. We are going to talk about the rest of this team. But look, Jalen Green's a massive part of this franchise now and in the future. And it's been an unfortunate 3-game stretch for him. Yep, let's keep it to hoops in the chat, everybody. Let's take a look at these super chats before we hit our first break here. We just got one from Teddy saying Jalen Green kind of ass. I don't know if I want to read that last part, but you saw it on the screen. Thank you for your super chat, Teddy. It's good whenever you're around here. We miss having you in chat, Teddy. All right, any final thoughts on Jalen Green? I'm sure we'll explore a little bit more of this tomorrow when the full squad is back in studio.
Yeah, for sure. I saw a chat from FedEx kind of making the point I was saying. You kind of listed and rang off the guys who Houston had for him to kind of lean on and around them. And I think that what we're saying right now is just that the Suns are depleted. And I think if Jalen Green was having these struggles with not even, let's just like say either like Book, Brooks, Goodwin, like if 2 of those 3 guys were around and Jalen Green was playing like this, I would be really, really concerned. I'm a little concerned because I think that he should be a little more efficient and make better decisions and things like that. But I also recognize that he's up against a lot, and it's not even necessarily an excuse for him, but I'm just thinking like, okay, all things considered and basically kind of what we've seen from him, it is, I guess, not par for the course, but it makes sense given all of that. And I would be a little patient given that he's a young player and also acknowledging that he needs to be much better than he's been.
There's not going to be a lot of middle ground when talking about a guy like Jalen Green, who always ignites such like fierce discourse around him. We'll try to find the best way to do it. Obviously, we'll talk to Steven about it, but Jalen Green wasn't the problem tonight, honestly. Like, I don't think he played great, but physicality was a problem for the Suns tonight. And there's a specific position that was lacking it, and we'll talk about that on the other side of our first break. You want to know what's not lacking? Our friends over at Mountain America Credit Union, the official credit union of the Phoenix Suns. Now the Suns, they might not have had their effort and their energy tonight. Maybe they got out physical, out rebound. But guess what? You'll never have questions like that with Mountain America Credit Union, the exclusive home of the Phoenix Suns card. Now that Phoenix Suns card that you can get is the same Phoenix Suns card that Oso Ighodaro has in his hand. And it's the same My-style checking account that everybody gets with built-in benefits just for you. Restaurant deals, mobile phone protection, telehealth access, identity protection, loan rate discounts, offers on travel and events, and of course, more. Because that's what you can get. Make My-style your lifestyle, Mountain America Credit Union, or you can use that Suns card as a credit card, a no annual fee credit card available as low rate, cashback, or rewards cards options. Mountain America is simple. They're right here to guide you forward on your financial journey. So go get your Suns card today, or go get your Mercury card today. They have both. Apply at any Arizona branch. Visit macu.com/Suns to learn more. Insured by NCUA. Terms, conditions, and exclusions apply. Loans on approved credit. Always love talking to you about our friends over at Pure Edibles, because boy, do some of y'all need it. And maybe we need it too. If only there was a forget Pure Edibles, because they clearly list on every single tin exactly how you're going to feel. Sleepy, more relaxed, more focused, more balanced. They have it all labeled on their tin because they use a unique blend of CBG, CBD, CBN, and marijuana-derived THC to deliver the exact effect that you need. So gone are the days of sativa, indica, hybrid. No, you know exactly what you're going to feel when you pop in a Pure Edibles product and you sit down, and maybe we all need to take the relaxed one because it'd be good for everybody right now. Plus, speaking of good, Pure Edibles taste so good. They don't taste like weed. They taste like actual candy because they're an actual candy company. They're designed to be ripped or bit in half, making them easily shareable and easy to dial in your exact dose. So go find yourself some Pure Edibles products from over 130 dispensaries across Arizona. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and become a diehard today for the cheap. For the low. That's right. We're giving you a die-hard discount because it is the NFL Combine. You can still reap the benefits getting discounted die-hard for $36 for a year. Get all the die-hard perks, exclusive articles on the website, access to our die-hard Discord, a free t-shirt, and so much more. Go to gophnx.com/intro to check that out. Gil, a conversation needs to be had.
Yes, it does.
About the center position on the Phoenix Suns. Now, I think that this is a big enough topic that the four of us need to discuss it tomorrow in depth.
Quite literally.
But specifically tonight, what did you see that center position lack?
Everything? No.
Fair enough. Roll credits.
I think that some of the things, there was one possession that stands out to me. Neemias Queta had more effort, and he pushed Mark off the spot that he wanted to be on, and he just won that battle, in that position battle. And you asked me at one point, did I think he was a better player? And I gave you a little bit of a long-winded answer about Mark having more talent and maybe even playing more skill, but Queta having the angles and the physicality and all the intangibles that sometimes a modern-day big man needs to have in certain situations and circumstances. And we talked about that. We've had these concerns about Mark for 6 to 8 weeks now, and he had a couple of bright spots in that span, but for the most part, it's concern about his angles in which he's trying to get to the rim. And there was one play today that I remember. He sealed Sam Hauser on the semicircle inside the paint, and then he caught it, didn't know what he wanted to do, brought it down, and then 3 Celtics came in and stole the ball from him.
Yep.
And I think the thing with him, because I saw Mark mention the fact that they need to give him the ball more, and it's just kind of I don't disagree about getting him more involved, but I think the spots in which they're getting him involved need to improve, and that's on both people. Him, set better screens, dive hard, but also do that more. And ultimately, that takes an entire dimension from your offense and from your team if he's not doing that.
You want to play a game? It's called the rebound game.
Ooh.
I want you to tell me who had more rebounds, this individual Celtics player or Oso Ighodaro and Mark Williams combined tonight.
Okay.
So who had more rebounds combined? Mark Williams and Oso Ighodaro combined, or Queta?
Queta for sure had more.
Correct. 13 rebounds for him. Who had more rebounds tonight? Mark Williams and Oso Ighodaro or Baylor Shireman?
Don't tell me Baylor Shireman had more rebounds than him as well.
Baylor Shireman had 3 more rebounds. than them.
How many did he have?
I'm not going to tell you because I'm going to ask you this next person. Who had more rebounds tonight? Oso Ighodaro and Mark Williams combined, or Derek White?
Derek White?
It was a tie.
A tie.
8 total rebounds for Mark Williams.
Baylor Scheierman had 11 rebounds?
Baylor Scheierman had 11 rebounds tonight. Nemish Queta had 13 rebounds tonight. Derek White had 8 rebounds tonight. Peyton Pritchard had 6 rebounds tonight.
Didn't Ron Harper Jr. have 4 offensive rebounds?
That's more. That's more than Mark Williams individual. Peyton Pritchard grabbed more rebounds than Mark Williams tonight. Now, we talked a lot about this on the watch along, and we'll get Steven on here in a second to talk about it. But I will say this about Mark Williams. I don't think any collective sung Mark Williams' praises louder earlier in the season than this show. Mm-hmm. And that's because he earned it. But since the end of December, we have had our eyes on what we have been deeming a little bit of a slip in play. And now you are starting to see, in my opinion, Mark Williams' faults and flaws be somewhat exposed. And I'm not talking about getting him involved in the offense, post moves, throwing lobs, things of that nature. I'm talking about rebounding the basketball, defensive field goal percentage at the rim, or just being a rim deterrent, right? He's got the frame for it, but I haven't seen the results. Gil, it is a frustrating thing to have a starting center who, for now an extended period of times, it feels like is just getting out-physicaled almost every single night.
I mean, your point again right there, Celtics 38 points in the paint to the Suns 20, right? The effort part of the rebounding thing, the physicality part of just being in your spots and being in your space and making opposing players, guards, bigs, whatever, think twice before going in there. And I don't think that intimidation factor is there right now. And that's massive because you need that from the center position. And honestly, it wasn't really great from the center position either way. And neither of those guys are that kind of center, which enter man potentially. Mm-hmm. But, thinking about, at least we've given Oso credit for his switching and his guarding in space. But as far as just the ability or the intimidation factor, deterring other guys from driving or finishing around the rim, the team doesn't have that. And you need to have that factor, that intimidation factor, that physicality, that effort factor. And that is the most frustrating thing because whether you're getting the ball or not, that shouldn't be an issue. And I will say again, Mark took 3 shots tonight.
Yeah.
Right? So that is a thing where, hey, you're playing a team that plays just as hard as you. If you can't beat somebody down the court or you can't get a tip in or offensive rebound or get a lob, now what are you doing? And I think it's not I don't know, it's let me find different ways to make my impact felt.
We're going to get to Steven here in a second. We're going to take a break first. I'm just going to end it with this. Oso Ighodaro and Mark Williams tonight combined for as many points as Peyton Pritchard grabbed rebounds. It's unacceptable. It's a big problem. And we're going to dive into it with our own Steven Prejean Garner on the other side of our second break. Bet365 threw me a lifeline today. And I grabbed it and I tore it in half and I continued to drown. Bet365 decided they were going to give me a 100% profit boost on an NBA parlay today.
What'd you do with it?
I'd squandered the opportunity.
Oh, sorry,
but that's a user error. Don't make another user error and not use Bet365 because not only are they giving you 100% profit boost, but they're giving you like the 30, 50% profit boost on NBA parlays all the time. Plus, right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if you bet $5, win or lose. Sign up, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5. You know the drill. Get $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins or loses. Bonus bets can be used on spreads, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 52342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov. You know we love rocking hats on this program. You know we love branded bills because if you want some gear to make your brand stand apart from the crowd, Branded Bills has you covered with the best custom headwear. You catch me on the ASU show, I'm wearing Branded Bills ASU headgear all the time. I know they got Wake Forest hats as well. They partner with the PHNX Suns. You can get their hats at the Morgan. They have 40 partnerships with the universities across the United States. Whether you need snapbacks, truckers, fitted, beanies, or tees, Branded Bills has you covered with performance and style. And I'll focus on the performance side of things. It is about to get hot. Hotter than you know, Gil, because you have not been here for a summer. What you need is a hat that's breathable, A hat that maybe, you get the sweat in there and it might leave a sweat mark, but guess what? Bang, throw that right in the washer, throw it in the dryer, comes out good as new. That's branded bills. Now, of course, that's the athletic material branded bills, but the best part about their variety is they have other different types of fabric, and they're all super high quality, and they're all very durable. We love supporting local. They are a local company out of Mesa, Arizona. Head to brandedbills.com. Use code PHNX for 15% off your first order. Please hit the like button. Please hit the subscribe button. Please tune in tomorrow. Espo will be back. Steven will be in studio. It'll be all four of us up here. The Freckle Mamba behind the Mac. We have a lot that we need to dive into on some of the stuff that we'll talk about tonight, specifically for this game. And to do so, we need a post-mortem. We went so crazy naming this segment with Steven Prejean-Garner, who's calling in live from the morgue after the Phoenix Suns lost 97-81, because it works so well when they win, because the other team died. But then on nights like tonight, Steven, where the Phoenix Suns scored 81 points, it fits so well because it just felt dead. Back-to-back stinkers from the Suns offense. What's your diagnosis, doctor?
Yeah, minimum post is a diagnosis because that's about what the Suns had tonight, unfortunately. There's a multitude of reasons why. I just don't think they had it tonight. Obviously early on they did what they did, but you don't win a game in 12 minutes. You don't win a game in 15 minutes. It takes 48 full minutes, sometimes a little bit more than that. They didn't have it for more than about 15-ish minutes of this one, and against that team that has that foundation and that coach and that culture and that identity that they play to, regardless of who's available and who's not, it's not going to get it done. For a team like the Suns they came into the season knowing that their margins were already slim with the best version of health that they could imagine, and then they lose some of those dominoes that they held highly as far as their style of play on offense. Your margins are still your margins, and if you don't tend to those, there's really not much else to speak about as far as how you're going to win a game when you're without some of your top-end talents.
I want to unpack that part a little bit, Stephen, because I feel like this is the third or fourth time this month we've said the team hasn't had it. Like, I think back to that Clippers game. I think back to this weird stretch that's been happening lately. And you just kind of explained why they didn't have it tonight. Is it a trend, or has it been like a one-off of different reasons of not having it? Because I'm thinking about the bigger picture and concern level of how they can fix this moving forward. Because, listen, it's crunch time. There's 24 games left in the season. Not having it is no longer a valid excuse when you are shifting and having your eye on the standings every night.
Yeah, for sure, Gil. I feel like it's bits and pieces. It's not always the exact same thing. I feel like tonight was one of the louder moments of them just not controlling the possession game in particular. And context-wise, it's not necessarily a surprise that they didn't win the possession battle. I think it's a surprise for me that they lost it to the deficit that they did. If you lost it by maybe even like 4 or 5 possessions, I wouldn't be shocked or surprised by that, considering who you don't have available and also what the other team on the other side of the court does, which is literally the Spider-Man meme, like I tweeted it. They're the two teams that tend to the tagging up offensive rebound, defensive transition process as much as any other team in the league does. So you put those two teams together, and it's like, okay, you do what I do, and we do what you do. So whoever outdoes the other in that particular context of play is probably going to be the one that wins the game. Look at y'all both had y'all laptops open. I don't know if y'all had a box score open. Look at the Boston Celtics and their field goal percentage, 40%. Look at what they shot from deep, 27%. Look at how many threes they made in comparison to the Suns. They made one more three than the Suns. Now, factor in how many of those opportunities in terms of shots on goal, as well as three-point attempts and the quality of those that came from second chance opportunities. Now you paint the picture of why the Suns lost the game. Boston scored 97 points. I forgot how many times the Suns have held an opponent under 100. When they do that, they've hardly ever lost. So, like, when we're looking at it from a bird's eye view and we kind of detach from the emotion of it, like, yes, it's a bad thing they lost the game on the merits with which they lost it, but there's still things that are very much akin to what has made this team good and almost great at times, especially defensively, that still continue to show up.
Let's look at it from a bird's eye view, but I want you to focus on a specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
How are you feeling about the Suns center rotation right now?
I mean, I've been talking about that for a minute now, as far as what needs to be done on the offensive side of the floor for that group. Some of it is them getting themselves involved. I'm pretty sure y'all played the Mark Williams clip from Jordan Knott in pregame. And he mentioned that part. You're 7-2. You have to go, and we're giving you the green light, the license to go and earn extra possessions, but also in turn earn yourself extra touches. You don't have to pass the ball back out when you get an offensive rebound. You can go right back up as long as you keep it above your shoulders and away from where everybody that's half your height can have any impact on the ball. I feel like that's some of what happens when Mark is getting his touches, whether he's getting it on a short roll and drop and he has an opportunity below the free throw line going towards the basket and he brings it down too low, or on the offensive rebounds. No need to bring it down. Keep that thing high, get it back on the glass, put it up there, and then go play the eyes from there. I feel like they're missing opportunities to impact the game outside of just getting it to score in those opportunities. But I think the same other side of it is they don't have anybody that's consistently feeding them the basketball. A lot of drop coverage tonight. No different than it was in the other night against Portland. A lot of drop coverage. How many of those opportunities that we see guard comes off straight screen that's set by the big, engages the big's man, and then hits the big in the pocket, and then allows for them to do something that's akin to what their strengths are offensively. Like there's a bit of a disconnect in rhythm and consistency with which they're pressing that button. That's a little bit of Devin Booker not being available, but your other guards have to do a much better job of finding those opportunities to involve them.
And we've talked about how it's not just a Mark thing, but when it comes to him specifically, do you feel like the physicality or lack thereof is a problem when it comes to that position, especially because he's starting for this team?
I mean, we saw it tonight for sure, but I can't say that physicality ever was like a strength of his game. He's a finesse guy, multiple efforts, sprinting the floor, just out efforting guys, and then using his size in tandem with those skills that he does have as an advantage that typically gives him opportunity to be successful. And he didn't feel like he had those opportunities, or he didn't execute upon those opportunities tonight. I think we all saw the entire Suns roster get pushed around in the offensive rebounds. That's not specific to Mark Williams, but I do feel like he didn't have those opportunities to find a leak ahead when he gets a run out in transition, or getting the opportunity to spot or post up against a small because of his efforts in rim running. And it's not a literal rim run finish, but it's a rim run to a post touch with like 20 seconds on the clock, and he either gets fouled or he puts up a bucket and gets fouled. Like those marginal moments where he typically has impact, just hasn't had that the last handful of games. And the Suns, especially without Devin Booker and Dillon Brooks, need that in the worst way right now.
You talked about not having Devin Booker, Dillon Brooks. We've talked a lot about center rotation, but the other big talking point has been Jalen Green's performance. We were very high last Thursday, what he was able to do in San Antonio or in Austin against the Spurs, even though it wasn't a loss. And since then, it hasn't been as memorable, save for his two clutch moments against the Magic. Is it as simple as the guys aren't around him who will make life easier for him? Do you think there's some things he could try to do differently potentially? And a part of it is the fact that he had to go against Drew Holiday and Derek White as primary defenders in the past two games as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can throw a handful of other Celtics out there that just did a solid job containing a basketball to where his initial thrust after a couple of setup moves didn't get the separation that it typically does. And then you can obviously copy and paste that to him going up against Tumani as well as Drew Holiday in Sunday's game. Like that's tough. That's tough, especially for a player that's still finding his game rhythm, finding his game conditioning, finding his game flow at this point. Like there's a lot of ramp up that's still happening with Jalen. That's why you want him available for consecutive games so that you can start to find that rhythm. But I err on this being just something that is part of the getting back in game flow, game rhythm, just the consistency thing. Like that part, I don't feel like gets enough attention when a guy is returning, especially from the volume of injuries that Jalen's seen. And I think the other part too is conditioning. Not that he's not in condition, but I think there's a game conditioning, especially for someone that's a high volume scorer. Like it's one thing if you're they call them cardio kings in football as well as in basketball. Somebody that doesn't get the ball much, but is out there eating up minutes and having an impact. Jalen's not a cardio king. He's a guy that puts up a lot of shots. He exerts a lot of energy on offense. To be in that type of conditioning, like I think the best example of it is Steph Curry. If Steph Curry is only 80% of his conditioning, how does that impact his impact on the game? I feel like Jalen isn't quite at 100% conditioning for games, but that's why he has to be available to eat these minutes. And I feel like this is just part of the ebb and flow with that. Like I said on our last on our Monday show at 3 p.m., probably give him through this 4 days off stretch to then be able to start assessing where he is and start looking at trends as far as his gameplay.
Anything interesting said post game, coaches, players, any vibes you're picking up after another brutal loss?
Yeah, Jordan Knott mentioned in his availability that the possession game and the margins are non-negotiable for the Suns. And if you've been watching our show, that should not be a surprise in any capacity because who's been saying that since the preseason, since the games even started. Like that's their outlet to winning games. They have to out effort teams. They have to tend to their game process and execute better, if not significantly better than their opponents on any given night. And he said verbatim, games aren't going to win themselves, especially against a team like Boston. You were right in it at halftime, but you had to go and take it. And he said they didn't come out of the locker room at halftime. Those were his words verbatim. So like everything else that happened after that is what happened. But you don't show up with the right urgency, with the right feel for it, that team over there is going to go and take whatever they can and then some. And that's exactly what happened in those middle quarters.
So I guess the thing I'm thinking now is where we are right now and how things are, the state of thing. Couple bad losses, couple bad offensive showings and performances. Is there anything positive to take away from this moving forward? And one thing that I think about was Kamal Malawach having important minutes last game, getting in early, and then not seeing him tonight, but then today being impactful when his number was called. Do you think that that button could be one that they press moving forward? And is he the positive that we could take from this?
It's got to be. I feel like it's matchup oriented right now with Kaman. Jordan mentioned in pregame that this game was going to be more akin to what their typical game script would look like in comparison to what the Portland one looked like. So naturally, we didn't see Man until the fourth quarter, around the 5-minute mark of that. That's a telltale sign at this present moment. Rasheer had some good moments, but shortly thereafter the good moments, he picked up 2 fouls in succession with one another within about 3 or 4 possessions. Those are the growing pains. Like you can take the positives from that, but you also got to do a better job of not reaching all the time and just being solid. I know he has the reach and he has great success as a pickpocket guy, but the best pickpocket guys never put themselves in compromise to not have impact because they have to have their minutes taken away because of fouls. So it's part of the learning part for him. It's not too much positive to take away from this game outside of the defense for me. And I know people want to say, oh my God, you're talking about the defense. Again, go back to their numbers. One of the big numbers for the Suns this season, defensive field goal percentage. You held Boston to 40%. Now, obviously, you got outshot in volume in terms of possessions total, for sure. But even with those extra possessions that they earned, they still only shot 40% from the field, 27% from three. And you only lost the 3-point margin by 1. Like, those are positive takeaways. Like, it's not all doomsday, but at the same time, offensively, you have to be significantly better if you're going to be winning games without Devin Booker.
Final thoughts, Steven?
I would press woosah, but we've been pressing that button a lot lately. So
we've woosah'd quite a bit.
If I have to say it again, that means you haven't been listening to us. So I'll just say, Gil, as you said, and like I feel like we all said, it might get a little uglier before it gets more akin to what we've been expecting from the team, just off of health alone because of the strength of the teams they're going up against. They got one more game before this kind of secondary all-star break, if you will, with the 4 days off. I don't know what that game on Thursday entails at this moment, but I imagine we'll see more fight and more effort from the Suns on Thursday. So stay tuned for that.
Well, before Thursday, breaking news comes Wednesday, and that is tomorrow, where we'll have the full squad back together. We're going to dive into the Phoenix Suns center position. We're going to do a lot tomorrow. We might have to woo-saw for the entire hour, if I'm being honest with you.
I might go scream in my pillow.
Yeah, it might have to.
Just and then get it out of the way.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Steven doesn't scream into the pillow. He doesn't scream at all. But if he did, he would grab a basketball and scream into the basketball. Steven, thank you so much. Huh? No?
KG style.
That's all KG
style. Yeah. Steven, thanks so much for calling in. We know you got a lot to do. We'll let you go out of here. In the meantime, you can follow Steven at StevenPG3. That's Steven with a PH, because as always, he balances us out. We'll talk to you soon, Steven. Bye.
Catch you tomorrow, brother.
I'll bring my sage tomorrow.
Please do. All right, guys, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about some of the positives with this game, and we'll put a bow on the PHNX Suns post-game show, and we'll do it on the other side of our final break. Tonight, not electric. I will go out and I will admit that. I can guarantee, that's right, I can guarantee electricity March 5th through the 8th at Phoenix Raceway, because for the first time ever, NASCAR and NTT IndyCar Series are racing during the same weekend at Phoenix Raceway, and you, Gil, you, Ayrton, me, Steven, all of you in the chat can get a front row seat to all of it. That's right. It's the kind of energy you need to feel in person to understand. And if you want the best access in motorsports, well, you got it. Go inside the garage, walk the track, meet the drivers, catch the pre-race concert. No sport brings the fans closer by upgrading to the Desert Diamond Casino infield experience. But they have other things, camping, ticket, hillside options, all available so that you can catch 2025 Cup Series champion Kyle Larson return to the track where he won it all just a couple of months prior. Look, NASCAR, NTT, IndyCar Series weekend at Phoenix Raceway. It's coming up March 5th through the 8th. That's right. So secure your tickets now. They're almost gone at the link in our description. You know who's never gone? Window Depot. They're around forever. They've been around forever, since 2002. And while they started with windows, now they're supplying windows, doors, skylights, cabinets, countertops, sinks, and more. Quite simply, the Window Depot is more than a window store. Plus, they're local, Arizona-made, locally trusted windows with 7 locations across Arizona. Plus, they got inventory. They got a bunch in stock. Whether you're tackling a multi-family build or maybe you're just remodeling your kitchen, building a shed, the Window Depot has you covered. No membership fees and low prices. Plus, you can browse directly and order from thewindowdepot.com with real-time access to in-stock products at your nearest location. And if you need a little extra help beyond the savings in the inventory, they have in-house designers that are there to help you plan your space at no extra cost. Visit thewindowdepot.com, get started on your next project today, or stop by one of the Window Depot's 7 Arizona locations and see for yourself why they're way more than just a window store. Hey, so that sucked. Not the postmortem with Steven. That was great. The game. That game sucked. But you all are amazing for staying here with us as we wrap up a 97-81 game from the Phoenix Suns. Gil, I want to get all the negativity out there. So I'm going to give you the opportunity, and then I'm going to read our super chats, and then we're going to get positive. So this is your moment. Get the negativity from tonight out. What are your final negative thoughts?
This ain't going to cut it. This is not going to cut it. And you know, thinking about just from top to bottom, there is, like we said, there's not very much positive to take from tonight. Yeah, you held the Celtics, who without Jaylen Brown, obviously Jayson Tatum hasn't played all year, but you held them to under 100 points. You forced Peyton Pritchard into a pretty bad night. He had been on a roll, but still, you do all those things and you couldn't find enough. You did what you did to build an 11-point lead, and you couldn't hold on to it. You got outworked, you got out-efforted, and that's the thing that's supposed to be your calling card. And you got to take a look in the mirror and figure out, okay, who do we want to be? There's 24 games left. Yeah. We got to fix it now or it's too late.
I want to scream, and I'm not going to scream, and I'm going to call that growth for me.
Spare us.
Instead, I'll read these super chats here. First one from Trevor. Thanks, Trevor. Been around for a long time, Trevor. Don't think we don't notice. We appreciate you. Says, tired of seeing this team injured like last year. Yeah, it sucks. No Jordan Goodwin tonight would have made a really big difference. Like Devin Booker, Dillon Brooks for sure. Mm-hmm. Jordan Goodwin probably would have led the team in rebounds tonight. Straight up.
You know what I thought about too when you say that? we said this when we were talking about their injuries with Brooks and Goodwin, just saying the fire that they bring for each respective unit that they're a part of. They lead by example and they demand by example. So when you see Jordan Goodwin, I guarantee, like you said, he probably would have led them in rebounds. When you see him doing that, now you think, I got to do this. And there's only but so much you can do from the sideline. And I think tonight we're seeing that in real time.
Yeah. Also, we look at him as a guard. He's what? The best rebounder on the team? I mean, like,
pound for pound, and honestly,
no.
I was gonna say
not pound for pound.
I would say honestly, yeah, like just generally speaking, like the way, like, because rebounding is a science, understanding the angles, understanding the effort part of it, and all of that. He understands that and does that better than anybody else on the team.
Yeah, Jordan Goodwin's the best rebounder on this team.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say it.
Is that a problem?
Teddy with a $9.99 super chat says Streets saying Mark Williams is just eating with the doctors now.
That's top tier.
They're not.
That's top tier slander. I'm sorry.
Not, Teddy. Teddy, I miss you. Teddy, come back.
That is top tier slander.
Teddy,
My goodness.
I will say this. You are my favorite KD fan, Teddy. You are my favorite KD fan. You are funny. And I like how you look at the game, except for that note right there.
That's messed up, man.
Teddy sparked one of the greatest moments in PHNX Suns history when I started yelling about VJ Edgecombe and Tyrese Maxey at Gila River Resorts and Casinos Wild Horse Pass. Teddy, I miss you. Teddy, come back.
Teddy, come back.
Okay, Mark with a $5 super chat says, Convo can wait until the offseason, but games like this make me wonder what the path to contention around Book is with the current roster and zero assets. That will have to wait to the offseason, but I will say this. Nobody, even when the Suns started overachieving, nobody said this team was a contender.
My one point I'll say about that, and we talked about this during the game, we have seen the blueprint of what this team wants to do as close as it could be to full strength, because there were times this year, and I think that we're still holding on to that and still believe that this is a good team. Well, the team is closer to good than they are to bad, and I think that how you improve in the margins is to get better versions of the guys that you have that fill that archetype, and I think that's the answer.
Have a good coach, which I believe they have, which some people are out on him. I am not out on him.
Too early for that.
All right, you ready for positivity? I'm going to say hour. Ready for positivity like 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. Positivity part of 10 minutes, number 1. Ryan Dunn. Ryan Dunn tonight, in his second consecutive start, had a way better game. 10 points for him, 4-6 from the field, 2 of 2 from deep, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, 3 of those rebounds offensive in just 25 minutes tonight. Good minutes from Ryan Dunn.
He was really good in the first quarter. He was really good to start the
game.
7
points
in
the
first quarter. And I think 3 of those rebounds in the first quarter as well. I would like to have seen more of that, but at the same time, what we talked about with capturing moments, all right, show him that film and say, look, do more of this. And there were also things that I saw him do, picking up full court, that effort a little bit, and it didn't have the results all the way through, but I think that this was closer to a good game and closer to what we want to see from him. I would just like to see, we probably saw it for 15 to 17 of the 25 minutes he was out there. If we can get that for the entire time, that'd be great.
Positivity hour number 2. Now, this might seem negative, but it's not, I promise. Mark Williams is playing himself to a much more affordable contract this offseason.
Yeah, that answers the team building question.
Okay, positivity hour point number 3. Colin Gillespie. Good game tonight from Colin Gillespie.
He's been solid. He's been consistent because we talked about, what he was able to do Saturday. He was a big reason they don't win in double overtime without Colin Gillespie. Obviously, Grayson Allen and Jalen Green had some big moments down the stretch, but Colin Gillespie was kind of the guy that got them there. Man,
positivity 10 minutes is going by way faster than I thought. Positivity, because there's a big one I'm waiting for the end. So let me see if there's anything else in here. No, not really. Amir Coffey had an okay game. Okay, let's get to the real positivity here. Our dude of the night, presented by Gila River Resorts Casinos. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playedgila.com for more details. Man is the dude of the night again, because he didn't have a great stat line because he barely played. 6 minutes tonight, but he had 5 points, 2 of 3 from the field, 1 of 1 from deep. Also grabbed 3 rebounds, 2 rebounds, and had a block. +6 in his minutes tonight. I will say, by far and away, the best moment in the game was Kaman Malawach, block on one end, a swat on Luka Garza, go down to the other end, and boom, Kaman Malawach has not missed a 3 in his Phoenix Suns career. He's 2 for 2.
And I think the big part about that, too, is that 3-pointer put the team over 80 for the game.
Huge. Nobody keeps the Phoenix Suns away from 80 points 2 games in a row, and that is why it's our Love to Play, presented by our friends over at Arizona Lottery. If you're over the age of 21, play and gift today. Now, with Man, I kind of want to put a pin in that a little bit, just because we're going to talk about it a lot tomorrow.
Yep.
Can we talk about Kobe Brea a little bit?
Sure.
Kobe Brea 2-2 from deep in his Phoenix Suns. I don't say career. I don't know if he took any threes before these last two games, but he's 2-2 of his last two games.
Mm-hmm.
Is there maybe a conversation to be had about Kobe Brea minutes, maybe over my GOAT, Jamari Bouye minutes?
I think that the conversation as far as it goes with Bouye is it wouldn't hurt to see what he's got. I think that Bouye, while he made his impact felt in other ways, he didn't score tonight. And the play that comes to me is when he tried to do the little dexterous finish he normally goes for in transition, and then we saw a Ron Harper Jr. chase down block.
Oh, yeah, we did.
And that went into a Hugo Gonzalez Euro step, which my friend Kyle, big Celtics fan, texted me about in the moment with a reaction meme of me.
Rough.
But yeah, it's rough
out here. Is there anything worse than that?
I know. Yes.
You're sitting there in front of 100 people on a watch along, watching the Phoenix Suns just get a big fat dump taken on them. And you get a reaction meme of yourself sent to you to rub dirt in the wound.
Yeah, that was tough. But I say that to say, I mean, Jamari's been great. He's been a revelation for this team, and I think he still can be. But I think it may be at this time you press a different button just to see what he brings you. Is a little more size there. My concern with him in the past, I figured there was something going on that he was not showing with the Valley Suns, that they have not trusted him yet. And I don't know if, listen, just circumstance says, look, maybe he plays better when he's alongside better guys, but I don't know.
He's a shooter, man. You don't lose that. He was one of, if not the best shooters in college basketball over the last couple of years. Obviously, like Con Knippel was going to be up there, but there was an extended sample size for Kobe Brea. There's a reason why the Suns took him. I understand that he's been in the G League. I understand why he's been in the G League. I do believe, especially defensively, he's not exactly somebody that fits into the Suns' identity nearly as much as Jamari Bouye, who I still believe continues to be a good defender. But on nights like tonight, where the Suns score 81 points, or nights like Sunday, where the Suns score 77 points, they need a little bit of a boost. He's got plenty of two-way games to play, and I think it's just at this point in times like this, the same thing with Man, and we'll talk about it more tomorrow. I want to see more.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know what we have, even if it's not like ready yet. You know, just to see, because what's the harm at this point when this is the result?
Yeah, I think that then, and the point that you've made so much about these guys, when people were panicking and worried about them, let's just say 5 or 10 games ago, when the record looked a little different, you said that, hey, look, if this team's record was reversed, so they were at the bottom of the Western Conference, we probably will be seeing these guys way more. Well, the record is what it is, and it's still positive right now. They have a long ways to go to fall under 500, but to your point, at the pace that they are right now, losing 7 of 10, this is what people expected this team to look like right now, and it's because of injury. But to that point, there's not that much to lose by throwing them out there and seeing what you've got. The only thing that you risk, though, is putting somebody out there before they're not ready and them developing some bad habits that you're trying to get away from them before that. But I think that is the big answer when you wonder, hey, why are we going with these guys? Because to be frank, Jamari Bouye, this is his 6th franchise. He is a little bit more of an established veteran than the rookies that you have in your locker room, and you're okay. He is who he is at this point, and maybe you're trying to mold them into being something a little bit different before you throw him out there.
Last thing for Positivity Hour, and then we'll get out of here.
All right.
Okay. The Phoenix Suns lost tonight. That's not a part of Positivity Hour. But so did the Golden State Warriors.
A little cushion right now.
And at this point in time, going into the fourth quarter, the Lakers are only up 1 point on the Orlando Magic.
Okay.
And the Minnesota Timberwolves are currently only up 5 on the Portland Trailblazers with 4:30 left to go.
Okay.
The Suns, right now, are 2.5 games behind LA and Minnesota. So if either of them lose those games, they'll still only be 2 games. If the Lakers lose that game, there's a chance to cut it to 1 game on Thursday. You are still 5 games above the Clippers for the 10th seed, and you are to fall out of the play-in. You're 10.5 games above the Grizzlies. The Suns will be in the play-in no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
That is Positivity Hour.
There you go. And when I was looking at the standings, I have to remind myself, like, the Celtics aren't just the second best team in the East. They have the 4th best record in the league.
Yeah, they're almost on the 40-20 path.
It's a pretty good team.
The Celtics are a great team. And people say, oh, no, Jaylen Brown. Well, guess what? Like, they've been good without Jaylen Brown all year. We haven't really talked about that on the post.
They're 20-10 on the road this year.
They're so good. They're a very good team. But the Suns still should have been better. They're 9-1 in their last 10, by the way.
Yes, the Suns should have been better. That's not saying that they shouldn't have been better. but it's not like I think Sunday was more egregious in that they lost to a team that was worse, but at the same time they were shorthanded on the second of back-to-back. So I think that we're towing a line of context and excuses, but I think that when you think about it, it does justify it a little bit.
It's not an excuse if it comes in the positivity hour 10 minutes, okay? It's not an excuse because we're being positive. Yeah, the Celtics are 9-1 in their last 10. They've won 4 in a row. They have a plus 7.4 point differential. That's the second best point differential in the East behind Detroit at 7.9, and they have the second best record in the East behind Detroit at 38-19. They're a very, very, very good basketball team even without Jaylen Brown. 4-1 without Jaylen Brown this year, and 15 points better, or 15 plus 15 net rating better when Jaylen Brown's off the court on games he does play. All right. You ready to leave?
I guess so.
I guess for now, right? Because guess what?
See you guys soon.
We'll be back tomorrow at 3 o'clock. The full crew, all 4 of us, back here for the first time in a little bit. We're going to be unpacking the Suns' center problem. Is it a big problem? Should there be a change at the starting center position? Plus, we'll continue to recap some of the struggles the Suns have seen in the post-All-Star break, what's wrong with the offense, and look ahead to, of course, Thursday's game, which is the last game before a 4-day layoff for the Suns. Let me tell you, it's coming at a great time, so we'll keep you up to date on everything at PHNX_Suns. Injury updates on our team, on opposing teams, and everything in between at PHNX_Suns on Twitter and on Instagram. Shout out to Freckled Mamba, beyond the Mac. Making all of the magic happen. You can follow him at Freckled Mamba. You can follow Gil at GilMcGregor_. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. And like I said before, nobody holds the Phoenix Suns to record low scoring performances 2 games in a row.
We all silly like the mayor.